Why do people believe conspiracy theories? Sometimes there's a simpler answer than you would expect, but it becomes more complicated because of the implications. The reason why people believe outlandish stories isn't because of any particular thing about those people. It is all about the people that those people have interacted with before. If somebody believes a very outlandish conspiracy theory and seems to irrationally think that it must be true, doesn't seem to be able to examine the evidence on their own, and seems to turn it down whenever preferred to them after they've already believed in the story, then the first thing you need to think about is who's told them a story in the past that they bought hook, line, and sinker? And is that story something that they don't ever want to question? And the reason I say it like that is because usually when people easily believe outlandish stories, it's because they've already been prepared. They've already been groomed, basically, to believe anything that they're told by certain people who they trust. And the way that you do that, or at least the way that it was done with those people, is that either in their childhood or their formative years or during a moment of trust, maybe several moments of trust, someone told them something that was definitely not true. But they decided to believe it because not believing it would mean that whoever told them that wasn't trustworthy. Now, I could tell you from my perspective, this happened with my mother. She liked the idea of being able to tell me anything that she wanted and I would believe it. It was very convenient for her. I don't know when she realized that it was happening, but there's a long history in my memories of my childhood of my mom telling me stories that didn't quite add up, or being very nervous whenever I would show discretion and be able to figure out that a story I was being told wasn't true. And at a certain point, it became obvious that she preferred it when I simply didn't think about what it was that she was saying, and I just accepted it without thinking about it. The problem is that I gained a habit of critically analyzing pretty much anything that I was told at a certain point. But usually she would find kind of a convoluted way to get buy-in from me. She would figure out a way to trick me into believing it. Which means that at a certain point she kind of had to figure that out for herself, or it happened to her. Not really sure. Probably never going to find out. But when you're used to being lied to, when you're used to being told convoluted stories to, there's two things that can happen. One, you can become a Sherlock, or two, you can become a dupe. A lot of people have been prepared to buy things hook, line, and sinker because somebody in their life thought it was more convenient that they bought something hook, line, and sinker. Say a close family member decided that, hey, every time I tell this person a story, I want them to believe it. It's a lot more convenient for me. And they made it like that. They set it up like that, and the person that they tell stories to always believes their stories. Great. Well, that family member probably doesn't realize that that's happening with every person that the person meets. Like, they go about in their lives, and if they trust somebody, then they believe the stories that person tells them. And I can't tell you how many times I have met somebody who is unscrupulous who figured out that I have a tendency to listen to people and would try to spin something on me, try to get me to buy something. And it's because they'd marked me as someone who was an easy mark because of how my mom prepared me for my life, or rather, didn't prepare me for my life. She liked the idea that I couldn't discern truth from fiction so much that she encouraged that. She assumed that basically I don't have that ability in my day-to-day life anymore. But she didn't ever think, wait, but maybe that means that he might not be doing so well. The problem with the people who set up others like this is that they never care about what's going to happen in the future to the person that they're getting to believe anything that they say. They never care about what that person's going to do when they're not around. They never think about it. A lot of these people seem to believe they're always going to be around, which is utterly ridiculous. So, what do you do in the absence of that? How do you discern? Well, to be quite honest, it's been a hard journey for me. Sometimes it's not that I don't know how to discern truth from fiction, and I get worried about whether anything I hear is false or true or whatever. It's more that because it's happened to me once, it's very easy to automatically look for it everywhere. Some people are ready to believe everything that they hear. I'm kind of ready to scrutinize everything it is that I hear. So it certainly leaves you in a different place than probably most people are headspace-wise day to day. I'd say the most important thing is just to take ownership of what is a fact in your brain. What are the facts in your brain? It's your brain, and you get to be in charge of everything that's inside of it. So anything can be up for examination. Anything can be up for question, and you do not have to care about whether it offends someone else. The biggest thing with conspiracy theories that are very outlandish is that they're actually crafted in a way that encourages this buy hook, line, and sinker mindset, because whoever's listening to it, if they've been groomed in a certain way to just believe anything that they're told, when they hear something like this, it's kind of going to blow their logic circuits pretty immediately, and they're just going to go with it. Especially if the person who's telling them it has something about them that makes them want to trust them. I think that a lot of the conspiracy theories that are out there in terms of, say, QAnon, anything that's been pushed out since 9/11, a lot of the right-wing stuff, those are all purposely crafted to actually find the people out there who have been groomed to believe anything it is that they hear, or who've been groomed to act a certain way whenever they hear a certain type of convoluted story. And there are a lot of people out there like that, because there are a lot of people in this country who have been using this kind of tactic to control their children. I'm just going to say it. We call them homeschoolers. And I'm sorry if anyone out there is offended by that, but if you are, maybe take a moment to review everything you've been taught in homeschool and whether or not it was true, because you have no way of verifying that. Sorry, but I've met one too many homeschoolers who have exactly this problem, that everything it is that they're told they believe because they were told it by a family member who they've also been taught to trust as a teacher of everything that's true. At some point, you're going to have to question. And the people who get bought in by these conspiracy theories, the people who really sink into them, they've been brought into a mindset. They've found a mindset where they don't want to question anymore. Questioning means they're going to have to confront so many things that are so difficult and so painful that it's almost easier for them to just go ahead and believe the convoluted thing that they've just heard than to question it. Because if they start questioning that, they might have to start questioning other things in their mind, other things that they've been told by people who are incredibly untrustworthy, but they don't want to realize that. See, the belief in the conspiracy theory has almost nothing to do with the conspiracy theory and what's in the conspiracy theory. That's why so many of them are alike. The people who are cooking them up are just kind of taking parts from here and there and assembling them together into some sort of idea collage. It doesn't really matter what the theory is. What matters is that you get somebody to believe you. And once you get them to believe you once, then you can tell them anything that you want, and they'll believe that from then on. And that's the hook. That's the trick. That's how it works. It's very simple. It was never about the theory, and it will never be about the theory. It will always be about people's minds and gaining control of them. Some people think that that's worth anything that they can do or say to be able to accomplish. And they will lie about anything from JFK's death to what you had for lunch that day, if they can try to get a hold of your mind and control it. And it's pretty pathetic, but unfortunately, it exists out there. It's a part of this world. And I've just made you a little bit more aware of it. Feel free to question anything it is that I have just told you.